Hey, it's Trella here, and I want to talk to you guys about 21 tips that you can literally start using right now to help protect you against coronavirus or any pathogen for that matter. Considering that if you have been watching the news, the CDC literally a few days ago said it is inevitable that the disease is going to spread here in the United States. Literally yesterday, we've got our third confirmed person in and around the Bay Area who has caught this by communicable means, which basically means they don't understand or know how a person got the coronavirus. So you've got people who are walking around unaware they're unaffected and they're not taking any precautions. So here's the reality. You've got the CDC a month ago saying, hey, don't worry about face masks, wash your hands, don't touch your face, etc. And they're still saying the same thing. That is BS. Having a face mask on. Anyway, I'll get into tips in a minute. Just the fact that they came out with a guideline for men with beards yesterday around how to wear face masks and have facial hair. Come on. There's reasons why they're saying don't worry about facial masks at this moment. And lastly, we've got Trump saying, hey, it's fine, I got it covered. I'm putting Pence in charge. Oh boy. I mean, he knows how to pass the buck when it's something that is gonna hit the fan. A lot of communication around, organizations need to dust off their pathogen plans. Okay. Communications I've been seeing from school boards and cities are, we're monitoring the situation. Well, with our phones, we're all monitoring the situation. It's now time for people to do something. And the CDC has actually said now is the time for preparation for what will come. And if you're in the Bay Area, California, or if you're in any densely populated area, you need to take precautions right now. So let's get to tips. First off, like I said, get a freaking face mask. Right now, you cannot buy them in the Bay Area in any store, medical supply, any of it. It is all sold out. If you go online, like for example, Amazon, you'll see that there's like $380 packs of disposable face masks. I just went on again and searched up the N95 face mask. Oh my God, I saw a listing for $900 and something. Anyway, let's get real. Face masks are necessary. There's a reason why the CDC is telling you don't worry about them, is because you can't buy them. They don't want to incite a panic, and they also don't want to get problems with medical professionals not having what they need. Right now, for example, one of the U.S. manufacturers of medical face masks, you go on their website and they're out of stock. And, it's just basically saying, sorry, please check back with us. Okay, not great. And if you talk with, for example, try and do hacks like maybe go to a home improvement store or other things like that, which maybe in your area you might still be able to get face masks, but around here, even all those kind of hacks, you can't get them. So the ultimate face mask is obviously one with a respirator, the N95. If these are normally priced, they're about $7 or $8 for a 2-pack. Right now, you can find them for over $900. Oh my God. So let's talk about reality. A bandana is a great hack. The thing is you need this to be seen as washable. You need one for every day for when you go out. So get some sort of face mask. The benefit of using a face mask is that it will cut down on the likelihood that you or your kids are going to be accidentally touching your face, which is a subconscious thing. We do it all the time. So if you have a face mask there, it's going to help reduce that. If you have a face mask there, it is going to provide some protection with pathogens. It just is. but obviously it's not true filtration like a mask like this. And honestly, these are very hard to wear. They're very hard to wear. So you just have to work with what you can do. So next tip, plastic or surgical gloves. So I'm really disappointed that no one is talking about wearing gloves. It's just a basic, simple thing that you can do. You put on a pair of gloves when you leave, you interact, you shop, you whatever you have to do, and then you either strip them off and throw them away before you get back in your car, or you throw them away at an outside trash can, and I'll show you how I've set up my home. But this is going to make a big difference. These are kind of like the standard latex. This is a size large. Obviously, it doesn't fit me very well. What I really recommend that you do is, and again, you might be able to do a home improvement store hack if already your medical supply stores are out, but you can still buy gloves at what's a normal price on Amazon and eBay and all of that right now. So you want to get grease monkey gloves. Those are gloves that mechanics use, and they're just, it's like the same concept. It's just they're going to tear a lot less easily. So if you got man hands, that's fine. If you don't, then you want to use gloves that you can, get off of Amazon that allow you to have a better size. You can literally get any color of glove you want. So I've ordered gloves that I think you probably are sold to tattoo artists and whatever. Same thing, except it's going to fit. So when you're wearing gloves like this, the better they fit, the easier they are to wear. The more that they don't fit very well, the more kind of cumbersome and you want to take them off and get gloves. Again, that's just going to help you maintain some more safety. It's going to help remind you about having a visual cue and a physical cue. Hey, I have to be aware of how I'm managing myself with regard to not being infected, right? So next tip, reduce unnecessary touching. And I mean, that seems pretty obvious, but whether obviously, like the CDC is saying, to your face, to things, surfaces, others, etc. Just be aware of how you're interacting with your environments, and especially with kids. They want to touch everything. And so another benefit to wearing gloves. Okay, next tip. Wear glasses. Literally, it's going to provide another layer of protection. So maybe you don't have prescription glasses. That's okay. You can go online to Amazon. They're still really cheap. You can get non-prescription glasses that will block harmful rays or blue light or whatever from your screens. Now that way you can have prescription glasses, non-prescription glasses that you can put on your kids and yourself if you don't already have a pair. But this is a great deal. So face mask of some sort, even a bandana hack, some gloves and some glasses is going to go a long way to reminding you and protecting you, and also giving permission to others. Like, hey, we need to take this serious. We live in a global economy. We live in a world now where we have to be very aware of sharing and shared space. So next tip, hand hygiene. We all have a hand sanitizer, but when the CDC is saying, hey, you really need to wash your hands, they do actually have a hand washing video. Things like getting a nail brush, $1 at the dollar store, and really understanding what does it mean to really thoroughly lather up. Then what does it mean to really thoroughly scrub? And you have to realize if you're going to have, like, here's my pinky nail, kind of long, but here's my index finger, it's trimmed back. You need to trim your nails back. And if that's like no way in hell you're going to do that, then you really do need to get in there and be brushing very thoroughly. With children, you need to keep their nails super short and have a habit of just talking to them about wash, 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 because in the schools, they're not getting training on how to deal with this. You know, do you know any teachers that have been told, hey, we're going to get you gloves, we're going to get you face masks? No. So it's going to be up to us to prepare. And the CDC has literally said, now is the time to prepare. So I'm breaking it down into specific things that we can start doing. Okay, let's get the next few tips that is really about how do you manage yourself inside versus moving into the outside world. So let's look at what I have just set up. In my home, I have literally an office built onto the front of my house. So I have 2 front doors. And what that allows me to do is have a really separated area that I can kind of make it a transition area. But before I even come into my house, you can see that I've set up a trash can outside where I can now dispose of gloves or disposable face masks even before I even step across the threshold, even before I touch the doorknob, which is very important. So next, in one of the entryways here, you can see shoes. So we practice kind of Japanese or Asian living where shoes, outside shoes, don't come into the house. This is really great on a whole bunch of different levels for cleanliness and dust, etc., but it's also going to help deal with pathogens better. You can also see how I have a whole station here of gloves, you know, wipes, hand sanitizer, everything. It's all easily accessible. Another thing you can do, right here we have clothes basket. So when you get in, you throw away your disposables before you walk in the door. You take off your shoes and you strip the clothes that you've used either at work or school or whatever. So it's just a way to really mitigate what you've been exposed to, because you have to remember that this virus is survivable on surfaces for 9 days. It's jumping species, so it came from its originator species to humans, and now it's been tested, showing up in infected persons' pets, their dogs. There's also inconsistencies on whether tests are detecting it properly. You know, like lady in Japan, she was tested. Okay, hey, we can't detect anything. Sent home, she came back sicker. Oh, now it's showing up. So you have to realize that we do have to take this very seriously, because even though every year we have hundreds to a few thousand people, at least in the United States, die with flu and pneumonia, we're used to that. The CDC is comfortable with that. For example, this year we're at 6.9% death rate with the flu and pneumonia, and nobody is upset. There's no news stories. The CDC considers a 7.3% death rate as, quote, epidemic level. So it's really about what we know and understand. So this is another reason why I'm putting this information out. Okay, next set of tips. Reduce or eliminate facial hair if you can. It's really cute, this chart that the CDC put out. It was just, you can see it online really easily. I know this is a wonky video, but it's all over the internet, and it's just going to be another way to help reduce exposure. Next, shower when you get home. So there's a lot of good reasons for this. Now, maybe you're used to showering at night, maybe you're used to showering in the morning. Okay, but if you strip your dirty clothes and then you just go immediately shower, you have literally cleaned off the day, what you were exposed to, all kinds of stuff. It's a good practice. And when you go to bed that night, you're not dragging what you kind of experienced and got exposed to and dirt and whatever throughout the day into bed. A lot of Americans like to shower in the morning. It is so much cleaner and just better for your skin, frankly, to do the shower at night. And I'm saying, hey, do the shower right when you get home. Okay, next. Arrange work remotely, if possible. If your employer hasn't already started talking about what kind of plans are in place or possibilities in place for those people who do jobs that are possible to work remotely, raise your hand. You're going to be raising your hand for hundreds, if not more, other people who want and need to know the same things. Next tip, reduce or eliminate airline travel. It doesn't matter that you aren't flying to China or South Korea, and pretty soon Italy's going to be on that list. As soon as you step into that airport, you are in the soup of international travel and international exposure. Just realize that, period. So if you don't have to travel by airline, or you can start to reduce it, do so. Next, protected public professional workers. You know, people who are school teachers, food service, drivers, cashiers, beauty service, medical professionals, etc. You need to wear masks and you need to wear gloves, period. Literally, I was at the doctor's offices, medical offices, which is attached to a hospital at Kaiser here in San Jose last week. Nobody's wearing gloves, nobody's wearing face masks, and they never do. But just considering what's going on now, they should. You know, we're swapping pins, we're swapping ID cards, we're, you know, the doctor sometimes shakes your hand, like all of that stuff. It doesn't matter that the doctor is washing their hands before they examine you. That's not enough. It's really not worth it. I went to Home Depot and one of the cashiers had 2 boxes of face masks and a big bottle of hand sanitizer, you know, for her use. Wasn't wearing any of them, wasn't using any of them, and wasn't wearing gloves. And I was like, hey, you know, you really need to be using that. It's confirmed now, it's here. She's like, yeah, I know. I guess I'm just going to go to Florida. Okay, people, it's not an option. So seriously, take it upon yourself, because if you're going to wait for the school district or the local government or, you know, the company that maybe even has already supplied safety materials to their workers, and then workers are just not using it because they're not used to it, or they're uncomfortable, or it doesn't look cool, you've got to take matters into your own hands. Okay, next tip, bad social behaviors. Poorly managed social activities where you're not taking certain precautions, or you know people who show up to social activities and they just won't change their behaviors because it's inconvenient, or it wouldn't take a good Instagram photo, or whatever bullshit. Get it together and don't take unnecessary risks. You've got to manage your exposure to certain activities, and you've got to manage the fact that some people just aren't going to care. They're just not going to care. And how you're going to manage yourself around them. Okay, next tip. Sick kids, they got to stay home. I know for some people it is a genuine burden to have sick children on multiple levels. And then I know some people who, they just don't care. They don't want to deal with their kids, even if they could, and they just send them to school anyway. I mean, I can't tell you, I experienced that myself. But they got to stay home. And if they're sick, then you are probably infected, which means you need to stay home. Next tip, declutter and deep clean high traffic areas in your home. Well, what does this mean? Kitchen and bathrooms. This is where everybody's interacting. And the more that you have clutter, the more that you have areas that literally harbor, you know, dirt and dust and and all of that stuff, but also pathogens. And you want to either box stuff up, stick it up in the attic, give it away, do a Marie Kondo. You just want your countertops, your tables, everything just as clear as possible. You may open a cabinet and it's overfilled. Who cares? Just the surfaces and the areas where you're interacting, you want them as clean as possible, okay? Next, source supplies now. Source supplies now. Obviously, with face masks, it's kind of insane as far as getting disposable ones, and maybe depending on where you live in the country, there's some stores, whether medical supply or whatnot, that might still have things, but other things you can be buying, and literally you don't have to break the bank. I went to a dollar store literally this morning just to check. I was still able to get some hand sanitizer, though that's pretty much out, and but disinfectant wipes, detergent, soaps, hand soaps, dried goods, pasta, rice, beans, etc. Also basic cold relievers, bleach, rubbing alcohol. There's lots of things that you can get very cheaply, but just go out and get it done. Next tip, behave like you need to heal yourself. Behave like you're already getting over the cold. And what I mean by that is you're not drinking, you know, frappuccinos and Red Bulls and sodas. You're drinking teas. You're drinking water. You're eating well, and you're really got a lot of fresh fruits and vegetables. Animal products. Forget the planet and forget the morality and forget the weight loss component of why you would want to eat more plant-based. Bottom line is, even after one meal of animal products, your blood gets cloudy and your testosterone drops. Boom. You need to be clear and you need to be as strong as possible, so anything that you can do to build up your immune system, build up your stamina is good. Okay, next. Be proactive. Again, I know I've been saying this, but most school districts, some local governments, etc., they're all just going to keep emailing the same crap of, we're monitoring the situation. Here's these 3 links to information from the CDC. Well, again, we all have the same information. It's not like we're dependent on authority to give us information anymore. What we are dependent on authority is to take action. And unfortunately, by the time something is going to get done or decided, you need to already be proactive and take action. And it's going to show leadership, whether it is at your church, whether it is at your, Girl Scout troop, or it is at your office group, whatever. It's going to show leadership. It's going to give permission if you show up and you've got, a face mask on, or you've got gloves, or you've got, you're taking action. Okay, next tip. And it's not exactly a tip. It's just a reality check. The CDC, number 1, is subject to politicians, not pathogens. Now, while the CDC has, basically some of the best experts in the world on disease, they are still under the direction of politicians. And they are still coming from a big picture management, decision-making protocols. What does that mean? They're looking at disease management at a macro level. Oh, we've got a 6.9% death rate with flu and pneumonia. We're fine with that. Once it hits 7.3, okay, we'll take action. You know what I mean? So you have to realize that they're not going to communicate information, even if it's true, that might incite larger macro management problems. There's a certain amount of where when you're looking at large systems, you're looking at large groups, and you say, what is an acceptable amount of death? What is an acceptable amount of risk? What's an acceptable amount of problems? They have to do that. The problem is, you know, is part of that percentage going to be, you know, an elder family member that, or, you know, a kid, or whatever the case. So you have to take action into your own hands. So you have to realize that there's going to be more and more information coming out. Some of the things that I've told you, I've got more information. I'm going to do that in another video. I've got a PDF file with all these tips and a lot more information that you can download. And please pass this video along. Just pass it along. And if nothing else, what you feel like maybe sounds a bit much for you to say, you can say, hey, Trella, you know her, she's crazy. Have them watch me, okay? So I will talk to you very, very soon, and we will get through this.